Like and subscribe right now, or this will be in your bed tonight. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video looking at the top posts from r/ProRevenge. Here is the dealio, you all like and subscribe now, and I will continue putting effort into uploading these videos daily. Do it now. Thanks. He was a public health risk, so I got him promoted to customer years back. I worked in the back of house for a chain of fast casual restaurants. Let's call it Emerald Wednesday. I had been there for quite some time, and had seen many managers, both good and bad, come and go. They typically lasted just a couple of years. We had been gifted a general manager who was sent to our store as his last chance to salvage his career, and when he failed, we were without a general manager for a couple of months. The assistant managers ran the restaurant and things were okay, but no one was getting promoted within the company. Then the district manager went with an outside hire that was coming in from the other side of the country. This guy was a complete idiot. We'll call him Johnny. He had zero experience as a general manager and wasn't even applying for the position, but the district manager talked him into taking the job. Big mistake. Under Johnny's tutelage, our Emerald Wednesday started to slowly fail, mostly due to his mismanagement. He was belligerent to the staff, making a couple of the girls cry by belittling them in front of everyone else. He was so lazy he'd hide in the office on busy weekends while we struggled without a manager. He refused to do even the basics of his job, like the nightly pull thaw. For those who don't know, many things are kept frozen in the walk-in freezer and are pulled forward to the cooler at night so that they thaw before morning. This was rarely done on Johnny's evening shifts. We would routinely have to force thaw steaks, shrimp, and chicken under running cold water, which is not something that we are supposed to even do. I saw on a few occasions that Johnny was cross-contaminating foods under the running water, a pan of frozen shrimp sitting on top of or even in a pan of frozen steaks. At one point, I didn't see this one. Johnny ran some frozen steaks under hot water to thaw them quickly because they needed to be cooked right then. This was a huge problem, and had I seen it, I'd have wanted to punch the fool in his face. We sometimes ran checks of multiple hours and had frequent guest complaints. One guest even threw his silverware at the host. Johnny was called up front and actually took the guest's side, leaving the host in tears. I believe he even committed the guy's meal. Johnny was a real class act. I made it my mission to do something about him. At the very least he was going to get someone very ill from his shenanigans. So I sat down with the district manager who had brought Johnny in and spoke with him at length and great detail about how bad Johnny was, how terrible the morale was, how he could get people ill, all of it. He asked me point blank what I thought of Johnny, and I told him Johnny is an idiot. Nothing came of it. Christmas was coming, and I knew I was quitting in a couple of months. Johnny insisted on having a Christmas party at a bar a town away, but fraternizing between management and hourly employees was against company policy, so I didn't go. Johnny got quite drunk and drove himself home. I heard from co-workers that Johnny had been pulled over for a DUI. Oops. A week or so later, I wrote a lengthy email detailing everything Johnny has screwed up on, wrote about the Christmas party, and included screenshots of court records I was able to look up on the town's website. I set up a burner email account and messaged everyone I could find in the Emerald Wednesday hierarchy. When I went back to work a couple days later, we had a shiny new general manager, and no one knew what I had done. I'm not proud of this, but he was making lives miserable, the restaurant was failing, and I was certain he was a public health risk. Fuck you, Johnny. Hello, thanks if you are still watching. Reminder to please like and subscribe to the best channel on the internet. Thanks. I make my employer pay my friend's wife what they owe her. About 15 years ago I worked for 3 brothers who jointly owned several diverse businesses. I'm going to be a little vague, because even after all this time I never want to speak to any of them again. These guys were real pieces of work who regularly mistreated their employees and each other. Deception, manipulation, coercion, theft. You know the drill. The office was mostly young 20-somethings with limited workplace experience ripe for exploitation. The partnership eventually fell apart with wide-ranging accusations of fraud and theft against each other, and at one point we showed up to work one morning to find everyone locked out. I have so many stories, but the routine, that irked me the most was when my manager would randomly show up at someone's desk with a nasty frown on her face and loudly demand, "Come with me. You're wanted in the big boss's office right now." Then you'd silently follow her down the long row of cubicles in the workplace walk of shame, wondering what you had done and if you were going to get fired for it. At the big boss's office he'd let you sweat a little, then just ask for your opinion on some banal shit or for an update about a project, all of which could have been handled with a simple email. You'd leave thinking you had dodged a bullet and maybe accept less at your next evaluation period. I stayed for a couple years, became friendly with most of the peons, and ended up with a little responsibility and access to some of their corporate data. More on that later. Eventually I moved on, but shortly before I did I helped a friend and shut down a little bit of their thievery. One of the businesses the brothers owned was a publishing company that partially specialized in religious material, and one of my friends at the company was married to an author of children's books. The publishing company picked up one of her books, and it was somewhat successful. It sold well and got reprinted twice, so I was surprised to hear from my friend that the company hadn't paid his wife royalties on the book other than the advance against royalties, a normal first payment when an author gets signed. The idea is that if your book doesn't sell well, you're probably not going to make any more money on it. But her book did sell, and the publishing company was pretending that the first print run was almost up, but not quite, and there'd be no further royalties until it was reprinted. Apparently they were trying to renegotiate her contract at a lower rate, telling her they wanted a second print run, but the numbers just didn't work, and maybe she could give them a break on author royalties. So a few days before I left I used my access to generate a report of every single sale of her book, with total sales numbers far over the original print run, and anonymously slipped it to my friend. I learned after I left that, faced with the evidence of their own malfeasance, they were forced to cough up the royalty she was due. Ancient ProRevenge. I'm not 100% sure if this belongs here, so please direct me to the correct subreddit if this doesn't belong here. As the title may suggest, this is an old story. In fact, this story is quite old. In fact, it's not even from this millennium. It's from the 3rd century AD in late Han China. According to Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is a dubious historical source, but this story is awesome. In his youth the legendary warlord Kao wasn't the most attentive student, and so his uncle, who was his teacher, told his father of Kao's poor behavior. As he was getting chewed out for his poor behavior, Kao hatched a plan. One day as his uncle was approaching him, Kao suddenly appeared to have a stroke and collapsed. In panic, Kao's uncle hurriedly retrieved Kao's father to assist him. They rushed back to find Kao in perfect health. Kao's father inquired about the boy's health, asking about the stroke he experienced. Kao stated that there was no such incident, and that his uncle made up the incident because he had some vendetta against the young man. From that day on, Kao's uncle could never complain to his father regarding his poor behavior, because Kao's father believed that it was simply an attempt to slander his child. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe for more videos. The funniest comment on this video will appear in the next video. Bye. Like and subscribe right now, or this will be in your bed tonight. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe for more videos. The funniest comment on this video will appear in the next video. Bye.